mostly is going to be today class mostly going to be theoretically. Okay. So
Mhm.
what we have to understand before going to the class and object, what is oops? Okay. And why we are like uh why we use this approach and all. Okay, and what this approach talk about. Okay. So it's in a study class, like we are talking about C, right? So in C, what happened, like whatever logic you will write, right? All those logic will get divided on methods. Like the building block of the program is methods. Okay, and methods are global over there. So it's not like one method attached to a specific context or a specific object. There is no concept of object in C. Okay, but in real world, like the world we are live in, right? In real world, everything is object. So if you see, uh, right now you are using your laptop, right? So laptop is a object. That laptop you are using is an object. So it might be an HP laptop that you are using. It's a object. Okay. And then so basically the program you write, right, in object-oriented programming approach, right? So main building block of that program is object. But in procedure-oriented programming in C, the main building block is function, or you can say procedure or methods. But in object oriented programming, the main building block is object. Okay, so like I said, like everything in the world is object. Okay, so you can take any example, you can take example of yourself. Okay, you are an object of which type? You are an object of human type, right? So basically, so if I have to define a class, right? So I will define a human class which have certain properties, and we are going to be object of that, right? We all are humans, but we all are unique, and we all have a unique identity, right? So basically, what I'm talking about, the object are unique in nature. Okay, even though you can find a like you can have multiple similarities, but still it's a unique. Okay, so let's take example of we all are humans, right? So we all can speak, laugh, see, sleep, eat, right? So this is our attribute. Okay, everyone, like if you see the example right now when uh, laugh, right? So the way I laugh and the way you laugh, right? It's different. The way I speak and the way you guys speak, it's different, right? So it's like all objects have their own implementation, right? Even though we are having a similar functionalities, the implementation of the functionalities are different. In certain scenarios, it might same, right? But we all are unique. One second, let me. Okay, okay. So as I said, uh, everything in this world is an object. Okay, and object-oriented programming language. In object-oriented programming, the main building block of the program is object. Or what is object? Object nothing is a data. Okay, we'll see. And when you write a program, right? When you create application by using any object-oriented programming language, your whole logic will divide into multiple object. Okay. So let's take an example. Just take an example. I'm just taking example, the car. Okay. And then cell phone. Human. Okay. Now, what is top of human? Species. Okay. Okay. So now in car we have multiple categories, right? So we can have SUV. Okay, so now might be, let's take an example. This is a super class. Let's take example, this is a super class. Then these are the different categories we have. Okay, then here we can have, let's take any SUV here, Safari. Okay, so Safari, and then the Safari you own and the Safari I own, right? So these are, Safari is one object that you can own and I can also own a Safari. So both having similar feature everything, but they, like your car and my car, they have a unique identification, right? Similarly, in object oriented programming language, object, from one class you can create multiple object and each object are unique in nature. Okay, clear till here? Okay, so let's assume if I have to, so when I write the program, right, basic program, when I used to write, what I used to do, I used to create a class. Inside that one, I used to have a main method, right? Inside the main method, I used to write simple logic, straightforward logic. So if someone asks, okay, this main method belong to whom? This main method also in Java belong to default object. Okay, so by default JVM create an object which we call it default object. Okay, that we'll talk later in part 2. Okay, but right now what I just want to convey, in Java or object oriented programming language, all methods, all attribute belong to a object. Okay, so basic fundamental in your real life, if you see in your family, right, it's not the day-to-day life that we are living in. It's not about functions, it's about us. Okay, we want to celebrate. Okay, celebration happening, that's why we are celebrating. It's not like that, it's totally based on the object. Okay, someone celebrating Holi, right? So it's like I'm celebrating Holi, I can celebrate, that's why I'm celebrating. Not like celebration is happening so I'm celebrating, right? It's not like that. So all the in real world, right, when you represent the real world, right, just take example, I will just uh, uh, I'm just creating a class of a student and I'm seeing what and all behavior a student can have, right? So I just create a class. Okay, class is a keyword that we use to create a class, and class is nothing. It will just tell you, okay, this object going to have what and all properties and attributes and behavior. Okay, so I'm creating a student class. Okay, so a student, what and all property a student can have, right? So a student have name, string, name, int, roll number, right? Okay. So this is attribute. Okay. We call it attribute or data member. Okay. What we call it? We call it attribute and data member. Okay. So student can have name, roll number, and it can also have department. This is their, this is a student attribute, what a student used to do, right? So a student can, what and all a student can do, so it can read. Okay, so a student can, one second, so a student can read system.out.print. I'm just writing, just adding a value, read. Okay, it can celebrate any festivals or anything happening in college, so it can celebrate. Okay, what else can do? So whatever property that I'm listing down here, right? So what I'm saying, like it can have these attributes along with these functionalities. Can read, sing, dance, right, etc, etc. So basically, so if you see here, right, so we call it attribute and data member. And for this method, right, this method are not global. This method are part of this class, right, a student. So when we create a student object, okay, when you create a student object, this method that celebrate, read and all going to, it's belong to that specific object. Okay, it's not independent a global method running, because this is object oriented programming. So it's everything will be get controlled or get compiled around object. Okay, so in okay, so till here you guys are clear?
Yeah, yes,
So
Sabina.
far, yeah, so far, yes, sir.
Okay, so right now, so we have seen I have created a student class. I can create another class. Okay, and I can keep okay, let me create one more class so we'll get a better understanding. So a human can have many properties, right? I'll just list down one and two and then we'll see. So int, so number of legs, right? Int, and string, color, right? One second. Sorry, not name, gender, int. So I'm just taking a simple this much, and what human can do. So uh, it can speak, walk. So, okay, just I'm taking two. Behavior we call it any method we call it behavior. And what are these? These are attributes or method, or sorry, data member, or okay, data member and attributes you can say. Okay, and these are behavior. This is a method member also, we can call it speak and walk. Okay, so basically what I'm doing in object oriented programming language, all the data and method, right, if you see all the data int, leg, int, and I'm encapsulating this one inside a class, right? See, I'm encapsulating everything into a class, right? Clear? And when I create an object, so let us assume I'm an Indian woman or anything new. So what I'm doing, I'm creating one Indian gen. Okay. So this Indian, or you can give it any name. So this Indian have this is a single object which have this functionality speak and walk and all this attribute, right? And the process we call it encapsulation, where we are binding data member and method member together as a single entity. We call it encapsulation. Okay, clear? Okay,
Yeah, yes, Sabina.
okay. So we'll go, we'll discuss encapsulation. One second. So my visible. My screen is visible to you all?
No, sir, it's not
No.
visible.
One second. Okay. So now what we'll do? Okay. So one person, okay, who given the OOPS concept, okay. So his name is Grady Uch. Okay. So when they ask, okay, so like we are talking about this object right now, Indian, okay, encapsulation and all. So when people ask, okay, what is object? So he said, object have three things. What and all? The first is state. Second is behavior. Third is identity. Right? So human behavior, what speak and walk, I have just defined. State is what? How many legs and all, right? Identity is what? When you create an object, definitely like we all are similar, but still we are unique to, right, each other. Like I have my own identity and you have your own, right? So basically he's saying that the state plus behavior plus identity equal to object. Okay. Okay. So now one more thing. The object and instance, right? These two words are interchangeable. So I can call object as instance and instance as object. Okay. So if I say instance, you have to consider as I'm talking about object. Okay. So now in OOPS concept we have just discussed, okay, what is object and all. Okay. And by this is encapsulation means where we are binding methods and property together as a single unit, we call it encapsulation. So these things we just done talk. Okay. So now we'll see the student class again. Okay. Let me go to the student class. Okay. So as I said, so this attributes or data member, we call it state. What we call it? State. Okay. Acha. This behavior, read and celebrate, right? This we call it behavior or member function or method. Clear till here? Okay. So now we'll talk about OOPS concept. So if why we need to talk about OOPS concept, I will tell you. Okay. First, what is the need of that concept? So let's assume if I'm saying Java is an object-oriented language. So Java have to follow certain concepts to be a object-oriented programming language. Okay. Clear? So in many places you have seen Java is object oriented programming language, but Java is not a pure object oriented programming language. Okay. Java is partially object oriented programming language. Okay. So why so? We'll discuss. So in certain interview, people will ask, is Java a pure object oriented programming language? So you have to say no. Java is not a pure object oriented programming language. They will ask why you are saying that. That we'll discuss. So OOPS concepts. So OOPS have four main principle. Okay, like if you say, okay, XYZ person is a good person, so in what basis, in what in there is certain a benchmark, right? Based on that you are saying this person is a good, right? So you say, okay, he doesn't speak lie, he help other, is very kind, right? So you are having a 4 or 5 concepts, right, on your mind, and based on that concept you are judging a person is good or bad, right? So sometimes what happens, some person, if when you judge, right, so you can find some person may speak lie but he's very kind, is very helpful to other, okay, very hardworking, so you can consider him, right, also as a good person, right? But it's, he's not like fully like, not a proper good person, but you can say, okay, he is also a good person, right? So it's like a partially good, right? So similarly, there are 4 concepts, okay? The first one is abstraction, okay? The second one is encapsulation. The third one is inheritance, okay? The fourth one is polymorphism, okay? The fourth one is polymorphism. One second. Not. So we are having total of 4 concepts. Okay. Let me put my charger. So any programming language, okay, which follow these 4 concepts, we call it object-oriented programming language. Okay. So C Sharp and Java, right? These two are most popular right now programming, object-oriented programming language. Okay. So now we know that what is OOPS, object-oriented programming language, what happened in that. So whole logic will divided based on the objects. So everything run around object. So that is the reason we call it object-oriented programming language. Object-oriented programming language have 4 concepts. In books and internet you might see 5, 6, 7, like they will consider class, object, everything. We'll also discuss about that, but basic there are 4: abstraction, encapsulation, inheritance, and polymorphism. Okay, so right now we'll discuss abstraction. Okay, so even 5, 6 year also, or 3 year, they will ask what is OOPS concept, or can you explain? So people say, okay, OOPS concept, there are 4 basic principles that OOPS follow. One is abstraction, encapsulation, inheritance, and polymorphism, and then we have to explain abstraction. So now we're going to discuss abstraction. Okay, so abstraction is what? In what is the meaning of abstraction? Like basic English, what is the meaning of abstraction? Okay.
Yeah, it's
It's
abstract
a,
means it's kind of short, right?
it's a kind of a
Idea.
it's a concept of the.
Okay, I will tell you. Now I am teaching you, right? Online we are having class. So for you, when you have to define me, what you need? You need 2, 3 things, right? My name, my experience, and the content that I'm providing to you, right? These 3 things matter, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what I'm doing in my day-to-day life. Okay, I'm having fight today, I'm lying to someone else. It doesn't matter until I'm doing my work, right? So for you, when you define me, what and all you will take? You will take only those details which is essential to you, right? And if you are talking about me to any other person, you will take only those details which make sense to that person, right? Correct? So you will only
Yes.
consider necessary properties, right? And operations that I used to do. So who am I? I am an object. And when you have to define me, you will define by taking only necessary properties and operation that I used to do, right? So if someone asks you what is abstraction, so you have to say abstraction is a process of providing necessary properties and operation of an object. Clear?
Yes.
And you can
Okay.
in one line also, showing essential details and hiding background details is called as abstraction. There is another definition. You can also say that in general sense, only looking, if you're looking someone, right, and if you're looking a aspect that you want to see, like let assume everything have a certain aspects, right? If you have a mobile, if your child see that, he will be like which color it is, what it's light coming from that. Only these two three things matter to him, right? But if you buy it, you will see camera quality and all. But if you are engineer, a mobile hardware engineer, and when you look a mobile, you will see which kind of processor they are using, which kind of board they are using, and then other mechanical details, right, or electrical details, right? So it's all about the people view that required. So you have, when you define a class, when you use abstraction, you only have to bother about essential details, not about the background. Okay, clear?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we'll take example. Let's assume this is a mobile. Okay, so mobile, when you see, so you as a customer, you will see SMS, call, picture quality, right? And you might see some other aspects like right now size and all, and other
Storage.
things, storage and all, storage also will take. Okay, so this is a general view, right? Okay, when engineer perspective, right?
Yeah.
So what he will say? So he will say OS version, right? So hardware related stuff, right? So same mobile, right? When you define this mobile class for Amazon, right? Or any platform where you want to sell the mobile, you will define like facility colors and all, and might you have processor name also, but they don't bother about. But when you're inside your, if you are working in an organization where they are dealing with hardware and software, so what you will define? OS version, right? IMI number, and other and all technical aspects you will consider, right? You will not consider, okay, it's picture filter is getting applied or not, calls, pictures, those are the outcome of that. So you will bother about hardware. Okay, let's take another example, car, right? So I will show you three aspects of that car. Okay, this is my view, my father view, and mechanic view. So when I see the car, I will see price, mileage, engine type, right, and type of car, right? But when my father see, he will see price, mileage, and color mostly. He don't bother about other aspect, right? He don't bother about other aspect, right? Because for me, price, mileage, engine type, everything matter. For him, how much money he is going to pay, and the color of the car and mileage of the car. In some scenario, he doesn't bother about color as well. You only see price and mileage. Correct? In your home also, like when you discuss with your elders, they will ask, okay, how much mileage it will give, right? How much mileage it will give, and what is the price? What mechanic view? Mechanic view is dimension, other technical aspect, engine behavior, right? Engine type. I'm just typing like that. So you guys got the idea actually what is abstraction, right? So when I'm listing down the properties for my view, I'm listed 4 properties. When my father view, 2 properties. Mechanic view, 4, 5, 10 properties also I can list it down. Clear? So if anyone asks you, once again, Manikandan is okay. So if anyone asks you what is abstraction, so you guys can answer, right?
Yeah.
So now we'll talk about encapsulation. Okay, encapsulation. So what is encapsulation? Okay, so
It's a kind of
There is
binding everything
summary
together.
or bundling or a collection of data.
Encapsulation itself is like bundling, right? So we are bundling something. Okay, so in the start of the OOPS concept, I said data member, method member. When we encapsulate this both, right? Behavior and attribute, right? Right? So state and behavior as a single entity. So we call it encapsulation. Okay. So if someone asks you, okay, sorry, I forgot to tell you. If someone asks you what is the best example of abstraction, so you have to say class. I said the best example of abstraction is class, right? So abstraction basic concept theoretically we are clear. So we'll move to encapsulation. Okay. So what encapsulation is? So it's like encapsulating data member and method member together as a single unit. Okay. So that is encapsulation. And we can also say encapsulation is a process of describing the state and behavior of an object in a class. So what is state and what is behavior? The state is like the properties, right? The data member are a state, right? So let me define that first and then we'll discuss on uh, definitions. Okay. So let's assume I'm creating a class. So this class, a student. Okay. It's having a property called string name, int, role. Okay. And then we are having a student have to behavior, walk. Okay. And the another one is eat. Okay. And then we close this class. Okay. So here encapsulation talk about the process of describing the state and behavior. So what is state here? So these two are state or data member. This is behavior or method member. Clear? So if anyone asks you, can you describe a encapsulation? So you just have to say that when you treat state and behavior as a single unit, or when you encapsulate a state and behavior together as a single entity or single unit, we call it encapsulation. Okay, so it's pretty straightforward, nothing else. The best example of encapsulation is object. So if they ask you in Java, what is the best example of encapsulation? So you can say that object. Object is a single unit which have attribute and behavior both, right? So, and if anyone asks you to explain like a proper explanation, so you can say that a process of describing the state and behavior. State and behavior. Okay, of an object in a class. In a class. So what we are doing? We are describing what state object hold, what behavior object hold, and that is called a encapsulation. Okay. So now, so we already covered a theoretical part of abstraction and encapsulation. Now we are going to cover inheritance. So inheritance is pretty straightforward. So in normal term, like a day-to-day life inheritance, like let's assume I am acquiring a properties from my father. The physical property also, biological properties as well. So if we see most of the things, most of the property of uh, my father property I have inherited, and also I have my own, right? So it's kind of we can say that it's kind of uh, I'm reusing, right? Reusing those properties, right? With me, whatever my father have, right? Already, whatever already he defined. Okay, this is I'm talking about biological, and let talk about physical properties. Okay, so let assume my father having a bank account. In my father bank account, he is having 10 lakh rupees, right? Okay, so because I'm his child, I also have a right. I can acquire that properties, right? Or inherit those 10 lakh rupees from my father. So I have access to those 10 lakh rupees. Let assume if I have on 5 lakh more. So now my inherited property is 10 lakh and my own property is 5 lakh. But what is my father property? My father property is still 10 lakh rupees, right? This is the way inheritance work in real life, right? So if you take when a baby take a birth, right? So we say, okay, his face is looking like of his father, the color is like his father or mother, right? So basically, what we're talking about inheritance. So he's acquiring, right, a certain properties from his father or mother. Okay, so that is called inheritance. So, but in object-oriented programming language, how it's help us? So it help us to replicate this real-time scenario, right? This real-time scenario in programming language. Okay, it also help us in code reusability. Okay, so that is the biggest advantage in inheritance is having in object-oriented programming language. Okay, so if anyone asks you in terms of Java, describe inheritance. So inheritance is the process of writing a new class by inheriting a common use state and behavior of existing class. Okay, so basically it's, let's assume you have defined a class. Okay, the class called person. Okay, now age person is having age, and also have name. Okay, now person have two property, walk and eat, right? Okay, so now let's assume I'm going to create another class called a student, and one more class called employee, right? Okay, similarly, so employee have SID, okay, and sorry, student have SID and fee, and then have two more behavior, read and sleep. Okay, employee ID and salary and work. Okay, so now this employee class, right, it's inherit or acquire, it can acquire property from person, and a student also can acquire property from person. Okay, so what happened now, a student can have SID, fee, along with that age, name, okay, and behavior, read, sleep, and also walk and eat. Why? Because a student is inheriting this property from person. Employee is inheriting age, name, and behavior work and need from person. So you can see that if you see in the aspect, the person is a parent class. The person is a parent class, okay, or master class, okay, or super class, okay. So parent, master, super for person. Why? Because employee and student are child class. So we can say that this is child. We can say that slave. We can also say that super. Then we can say that derived, derived class. Okay. So a student and employee are child, slave, or derived class. Any name you can give. Okay. Or we can say that uh, super, master, and also base class. So any of the term is fine for person. Child, slave, and drive. Okay, that is also fine for, or subclass. Sorry, I forget. Subclass. Okay, base class, subclass, superclass, master class, parent class. So now if anyone asks you what is a student, which type of class a student is, so you can easily say that a student is a subclass, child class, or slave class, or drive class. Why? Because a student is a inheriting property from person. So who is the parent of a student? Person is a parent of a student. So a student can access all this property or behavior, but person cannot access a student property and behavior. Okay, clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So basic introduction of inheritance is clear. In future, like in next class, when we are going through coding part, we will see inheritance, polymorphism, and all. Okay. So how it's behave, how to achieve inheritance, and all we'll see. Okay. So now we'll talk about the fourth point, which is called polymorphism. Okay. Okay. So polymorphism means one name, many form. One name, many form. Okay. Okay. So this is the polymorphism, meaning one name, many form. But what actually polymorphism is? Okay, I will just give you an example. Okay, let's assume everyone is having a anger issue, right? I also sometimes get angry. You might be or may not be, but everyone have a certain way to show the anger, right? So let's assume if you are in your workplace and you get angry, right? So how will you behave? Okay, the behavior of yours in your workplace may differ from when you get angry with your parents. And the way you are behaving in front of your parent when you are get angry, you might not behave in similar way with your children, right? And let's take example, in subway you might had a fight with a stranger. In that scenario, your behavior, the way you show the anger is different. So a single object behaving differently in three different situation, right? In every situation he's getting angry, right? But behavior is different, right? Method is same, right? He's getting angry. Let me say that A, and behavior B1. So when you are getting angry in front of parents, you are behaving like B1. Okay, when you are getting angry in subway with a stranger, you are behaving like B2. When you are workplace, B3. In front of your child, B4. Okay, clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'm making sense, right? Clear. So basically, polymorphism will deal with those things, object behavior in different situations. So if anyone asks you what is polymorphism, so you will say a polymorphism is the ability of an object to behave differently at different situation. So same object will behave differently when situation is changed. So that is called polymorphism. Okay. So they will ask you, can you give a real-time example? So this anger one you can give. Okay. Okay. Now take everyone is using iPhone or maybe Android phone. You are having a power off button, right? So the same power button will switch on your phone and the same power button will switch off your phone, right? So if let assume your phone is off and when you click on that power button, it will make your phone on. If phone is on, if you click the same power button, it will make your phone off. So what it's doing? Based on the situation, it's behaving differently. That is called polymorphism behavior. Okay. 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 So that is the one thing. Now in Java, this plus operator, right? When you use this plus operator, 5 plus 5, it will give you 10. But when you use a plus 5, it will give you a5. Correct or not? Correct?
Yes,
So,
correct.
Yes,
yes.
correct.
So this plus is behaving differently based on the attributes, right? Or based on the operand that you are passing, based on the situation. So when it's in this situation, it's adding that one. But when it's in this situation where we have string and integer, it's appending, right? So clear, everyone?
Yes.
Polymorphism. So we done with the basic concept, theoretical concept of polymorphism, encapsulation, abstraction, and inheritance. Okay. Any doubt till now? You can ask, and then we'll proceed with class and object. Okay.
Uh, can you also tell me like how many types of inheritance is there in Java?
Yes, so that's why I said. So we are going to discuss single inheritance, multiple inheritance, what and all multi-level inheritance, hierarchical inheritance. So we'll discuss this. So right now we are going
Okay.
through concepts. Okay.
Okay.
Then we'll
Sure. Okay.
start class and object because before going to the coding part of inheritance, we need to finish the class and object. If you don't know class and
Yeah.
object, you cannot inherit property, right?
Yeah. Right.
Till now we discuss class and object, but officially I have not started class and object, right?
Yeah.
So that is the thing. So any
Mm.
conceptual thing about concepts you can ask right now. Polymorphism also will learn like early binding, late binding, static and compile or dynamic polymorphism and all. We'll discuss everything. But right now, these four concepts, what I've tried to explain is clear or not?
Yeah, it's clear.
Oh, very good. Started, we are going into the program of class and object. We'll learn how to define class, what is the member, what and all, how we can write, what we cannot write. So if anyone asks you what is class, so as per the previous discussion, you can say in simple definition, always remember. First, you can directly say that class is a blueprint. Blueprint of what? So class will have details of attribute and behavior. Attribute is what? State. So class is equal to state plus behavior. Okay. If my writing is not good, any point of time, you can say that okay, what you wrote, we are not able to stand because my writing is not good. I will try to write
No,
it
we
clear.
can understand. So far we can understand
Okay. So
your
class,
writing.
yeah, class equal to state plus behavior. Okay. So if anyone asks, let me, might be guys are not able to recall the definition. You can say you remember class equal to state plus behavior. Okay. Or you can say class is a prototype or a template or a pattern or a blueprint of an object, state and behavior. So what I said, class is blueprint, then template, template, then a prototype, a prototype, and pattern, right, of object, of object state and sorry, state and behavior, right? So a class is a state and behavior. Basically, I'm talking in definition also, I'm saying the same thing. Okay. Or we can also say that a class is a expanded concept of a structure. A structure, like if you are coming from C, a class can hold data member and method member, description. So that is also a definition. Okay. So now we're done with the definition. It's nothing much. Definition is pretty straightforward. We'll directly, if I have to define a class. Okay. So how will define? Point to point thing. Okay. We might define our first class today. We'll see. So I think still we have time. Okay. So let take example. If I'm going to define a class. So the first thing, modifier. Modifier, that we learn about modifier, but because we are discussing a class syntax, so we have to write it down. Then the keyword class. Okay. And then the class name. Okay. And then you have your members. So members like data member, method member. In any order you can write. There is no specific order and all. Okay. So anywhere you can write. So we'll define our first class. We already defined, but hey, for you guys. So modifier in the sense, there are certain modifiers we have. We have a chapter called access modifier. We'll go through that in details. So first we have public. Then you have a keyword called class. You guys remember the identifier naming convention, what and all we can have in your variable names, right? How you can define your method names. You cannot have numbers. You can have what all the rules that I have discussed in our second or third class. Okay. Same rule will follow for class naming also, right? So let us assume I'm going to create a class called animal. Okay. So remember, whenever you define a class, you always kept first letter as a capital. It's not a mandatory, it's a standard. Okay. So if you start working in any of the organization, you can see the method name always start with small letter and the class name always start with capital letter. Okay. So I created a class animal. As I said, we can have a property. So what are our property? So let's take an example, animal name, string name. Okay. Okay. Other property is string origin. Origin. Okay. Eat. Sleep. Then walk. So this is the way we can define a class. Okay. You can see that whenever we define a class, we can have a main method, but here I'm defining class doesn't have the main method. The reason is a class can have main method, I cannot have main method. It's not mandatory that all class will have a main method. But if you want to execute that class, okay, you have to have a main method. Okay, because the execution start from main method till Java 7. When I discuss Java 22, 23 or 21, we'll talk about that, what we need and what we not need. Okay. So clear till here? If someone asks you to create a class, you can create that, right?
Yes.
The simple thing, whatever property you want to do, you can do. And eat, sleep and all will also, I'm just defining here in one liner. We'll define that in details later. Okay. So now I'm going to the object. So object is the best example of encapsulation. Okay. So which class I have created here? I have created animal. Okay. So now this is a class. This is a blueprint. This is a prototype. It doesn't have anything. Okay. It just got loaded to your memory if you write. Okay. With the help of class loader. Okay. That also will see. So now I have to create an object. So I will create an object. So there is a syntax of creating an object. First you have to give class name. Class name. So let us we want to create a animal class object. So you have to give class name. So let me give the class name animal. Then you have to give reference variable name. Reference var name. So I have given here dog. Okay. Then you have to give equal to sign. I have given here equal to sign. Then you have to use new keyword. I have used new keyword here, right? And then again you have to give class name. I have given class name. This parenthesis. This is called constructor. This is new keyword. New keyword invoke constructor. With the help of constructor, we create object. Clear? Clear to you all?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
That's
yes.
actually clear.
Okay. So now you remember. So now this is constructor. So we are having a chapter on constructor, default constructor, parameterized constructor. Can constructor is a method or not? This type of things we'll discuss in constructor chapter. So right now we'll focus on object. Okay. So let assume. So what is the syntax? New, and then after that class name, and then this. Okay. So now create another. Again animal cat equal to new animal. Clear to you all? This is not to. Okay. One second. Okay. Now this is cat. Clear? Okay. So now I want to execute of. I want to write a program where I can create a class and do certain a proper thing. Okay. So let me define a class. So I will define a class called, as we discussed about phone, right? Customer view and all, right? You remember? Okay. So let me define a class called customer. So I have defined a class in a file, class customer. Okay. So customer will have customer ID, right? Int CID. Okay. String name. Okay. Now we'll have long phone. Long phone. So customer phone number. Okay. Then these are, we call it data member or state, right? We'll define a behavior now. So customer is having a behavior. So I'm creating a behavior SHOW. Then here we have void. Okay. Void means it will return nothing. Okay. Then how we define a method? Void, so this parenthesis, curly braces open, curly braces close. Okay. Inside that one, I'm writing system.out.println, and I'm just printing CID. Okay. Then I will print one more name. Okay, one second. Println. After name, we'll print phone. Okay, so we are printing this three property. So this is behavior. So what customer can have customer ID, name, phone, and also have a method or behavior. If you call that behavior, it will print everything whatever it has. Okay. So this is the class of customer. Okay. I want to run that. I want to create an object. So where I can create an object? I need a main class where my program actually run. Okay. So let me create a main class. So I am giving that name CLASS class LAB lab 1. I am giving lab 1. Okay. Okay, this lab one is a public class. We will type also. This lab one is a public class lab one. Okay, so I define a class. This class will have a main method where our execution start. Okay, we can have main method in this class also. If I write it here, I don't need main method. So just to make you guys understand, we can also write a program in this way. I'm just writing this one. Okay, so public static void main. I'm just taking a short form of that to save our time. String args, right? Command line argument I already told you guys, right? You guys remember? Okay, so now i want to I want to create a customer. So let me first create a customer. I created a customer. Sorry, yes, customer Abhinav. New customer. Okay, so this is Abhinav. Abhinav is not a name. It's just a reference variable. Okay, I can give Abhinav X. So let me take here Abhinav X dot customer ID. Let me assign a customer ID. CID equal to 1, 2, 3. Right? It's a integer, right? Okay. Now Abhinav X dot name. I can give my name Abhinav Kumar. Okay, there is one more property called phone number. I will not give. If I not give a property to phone, JVM will assign a default value. What is the default value for long? You guys don't remember it? 0.0, right? Okay. So
Then
now
it's float.
same thing. All are having the same,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Now I have assigned two value. Intentionally, I have not assigned any value. Now, because why I have assigned value so that I can print that one, right? Okay. So let me call. Now I'm calling the behavior. Abhinav x dot, sorry, x dot, and then the method is so. So what output will get when I call it? So when you call this is the way to call the method. Okay. So we'll have object, then dot, and then one of the method you have to call. If you want to access properties state, you can dot and then property name, method, then object name, dot, then behavior or method or function. You can call like that. When you call this one, what will happen? So it will print CID, name, and phone of the current object. So what it will print? It will print 1, 2, 3, Abhinav Kumar, and for long phone number we have not assigned, so it will print 0.0. Clear to you all?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes, sir.
yeah. So in today class, okay, in today class we have covered object and class, the basic, how to create an object, how to call the method. Okay. In next class, we'll see in depth. Okay. When you are creating object, what is happening? How the memory allocation is happening. If someone asks you, what is the size of, what is the memory this object have taken? So you should know the way to calculate that memory allocation, right? So that and all we'll discuss tomorrow. And then tomorrow also we'll discuss about variables. So I have defined this property, right? Int, CID, string name and all. So there are certain types of instance variable, static variable, local variable that we'll discuss. Clear? Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's I think 2 minutes left. I don't want to start this member of this what we call the size calculation and all today because it will take 15 minutes. So it's better to be in one video, and then member of object anyhow will take certain time. So this both should be in one video. Okay. Clear? So if you
Yeah.
guys got any doubt, right? Anyhow, you go through this video and you just type this program. Always remember the file name. Starting, I have told you, right? The file name that we are going to, when you create a class file, right? It's always be a name of the public class. Okay. So lab one will be a file name. Okay. Clear?